Commander Laura Bennett stood at the edge of the observation deck of Earthfleet's main station, her eyes locked on the distant glow of the stars. To many, the stars were symbols of wonder, of futures waiting to be explored. But for Laura, the stars were reminders of how little the galaxy thought of Earth. For decades, the Galactic Council had considered Earth nothing more than a young and reckless world, its people hardly out of their childhood. They treated humans like children who needed to be guided, lectured, and sometimes scolded. Yet Laura knew the truth was more complicated. Humanity's story was not as young as the Council believed. She had seen hints, whispers, and fragments that told another tale, one buried under layers of time. In the quiet moments of her shifts, she often replayed transmissions intercepted from alien channels. The words were always the same: mockery, pity, dismissal. To the Council and their allies, Earth was a place of violence and chaos, a world that stumbled toward the stars too quickly. They said humans burned too hot, moved too fast, and cared too little for the wisdom of age. Laura listened but never let herself be angered. Instead, she carried the secret weight of knowledge. Humans had roots older than many of those who mocked them. On the other side of the planet, far below in Antarctica, archaeologist Daniel Carter brushed the ice away from a carving that should not have existed. His gloves were thick, but the moment his hand passed over the strange lines, a chill ran through him that had nothing to do with the cold. The carving glowed faintly in the reflection of his lamp. It was not a primitive tool mark, not the scratch of a wandering tribe. It was clean, sharp, and deliberate. More than that, it was familiar in a way he could not explain. He had seen patterns like these in star maps, maps that belonged to civilizations light years away. How could something like this be here, buried under ice that was older than written human history? Daniel's mind raced with questions. He had studied ruins across deserts and jungles, but this one was different. Beneath the ice was a chamber, one that hinted of machines too advanced to belong to the people history taught him about. He took pictures knowing that many would never see the light of day. Governments would cover it up as they always did. But he also knew he was holding a thread that connected to something much larger. At the Institute of Ancient Civilizations, linguist Dr. Emily Rogers sat at her desk, her tired eyes scanning the copies of symbols that Daniel had sent. She traced them slowly with her pen, comparing them against thousands of alien scripts recorded in Council archives. She should not have found matches, but she did. Her heart raced as she drew lines between symbols from the Antarctic ruins and glyphs used by distant species that claimed to have histories stretching back millions of years. But these carvings on Earth were older. That was impossible, and yet the evidence sat right in front of her. The carvings were proof that humans were not a young race. They were proof that humanity carried an ancient memory, hidden but not lost. Colonel Nathan Brooks, retired from service but still sharp, had seen things in his career that most people would dismiss as myths. In the dry deserts of the Sahara, during covert missions long forgotten by most, he had stumbled into tunnels filled with star charts older than any known alien records. He remembered standing there, his flashlight sweeping across walls that told stories of ships sailing through galaxies long before humanity's so-called dawn. He had told his superiors, but they silenced him. The world is not ready, they had said. He accepted their orders then, but he had never forgotten. Now, hearing of Daniel's find in Antarctica, he felt the weight of those tunnels pressing back against him. Meanwhile, on the political stage, the Galactic Council sat in their grand chambers debating Earth's place in the stars. Alien delegates from ancient empires dismissed Earth's growing fleets and daring missions. They laughed at reports of humans pushing technology at dangerous speeds. To them, humans were reckless children playing with fire. "They will burn themselves before they threaten us," one delegate said, his words carried across the chamber. Others nodded in agreement. They believed humanity's time among the stars was only beginning, and that they had centuries to go before they could stand equal with the elders of the galaxy. But in secret, Earth prepared. The United Earth Assembly held meetings behind locked doors, discussions that never reached the Council's ears. Inspired by relics uncovered in deserts, jungles, and ice, they pushed forward in technology not yet shared with outsiders. Ships were built in hidden hangars, their engines shaped by designs that did not come from imagination alone. Humanity was learning from the past it had forgotten. They were rediscovering who they had been. Captain Aaron Mitchell walked through the hangar of the Horizon, his hand brushing against the cold hull of the ship. It was the newest warship in Earth's fleet, yet its design was inspired by fragments found in ruins. To his crew, it was a marvel of human engineering. To Aaron, it was something more. It was a memory being reborn. He told his officers that they were not building for survival. They were building to reclaim. He believed that Earth was not stepping into the stars for the first time. They were returning to a place they had once called home. Back on the observation deck, Laura Bennett felt the tension of what was to come. She knew the Council's eyes were always watching, always judging, but she also knew the day would come when their mockery would turn to silence. Earth was not what they believed. The galaxy thought humanity was young, but Laura carried the certainty that humanity's roots were far older than most dared to believe. She whispered to herself as the stars glittered, "We were here before, and we will be here again." Far away, beyond Earth's orbit, alien scouts moved silently, their mission to record and report on humanity's progress. They expected to see fumbling ships and clumsy technology. What they did not expect was to feel the faint hum of something old stirring in the void, something they could not identify, but something that filled them with unease. For the galaxy thought Earth was new, but soon they would learn the truth. Humanity was not young. Humanity was the echo of an age that had never truly ended. Laura Bennett, Daniel Carter, Emily Rogers, Nathan Brooks, and Aaron Mitchell did not know each other personally, but their paths were drawing closer together. Each of them held a piece of the puzzle, a thread of the story that tied Earth not to the beginning of a journey, but to the return of one. The galaxy thought it watched a child taking its first steps. In truth, it was watching an elder awaken from slumber. The stars beyond glowed with quiet indifference, but if anyone had listened closely, they would have heard the whisper of history itself. It whispered through the carvings under ice, through the tunnels of deserts, through the hum of hidden machines. It whispered a truth that the galaxy had tried to forget. Humanity was never young. Humanity was waiting, watching, and ready to rise again. Dr. Emily Rogers sat alone in her office, the glow of her lamp casting long shadows across stacks of papers and digital screens. The symbols from the Antarctic ruins filled her desk. She traced her finger over the patterns again and again, unable to believe what she was seeing. They were not random scratches, nor were they marks of a primitive culture. They were language, precise and meaningful. She had compared them to hundreds of alien languages stored in the archives, and the truth unsettled her. These carvings were older than most civilizations in the galaxy. Yet here they were, buried under Earth's ice. Emily leaned back in her chair, her mind racing. If these symbols were real, they changed everything. The Council had always believed humans were young and careless. But these ruins told another story. They whispered of a time when humans were not students but explorers, not children but elders. She thought of calling her colleagues, but fear held her back. She remembered stories of researchers whose work had been silenced when it strayed too close to forbidden truths. She decided to keep her findings quiet, at least for now. Far away in the deserts of North Africa, Nathan Brooks returned to the tunnels he had once discovered during his years of service. The sands had covered much of the entrance, but he still remembered where to look. With slow steps, he descended into the darkness, his flashlight cutting through the stale air. The walls were exactly as he remembered. The star chart stretched along the stone, carved with a detail that no ancient tribe could have made. He touched the wall and whispered to himself, "We were never young." He remembered the orders he had been given long ago. "Forget what you saw. Report nothing. The world is not ready." He had obeyed, but the memory never faded. Now, with whispers of discoveries in Antarctica, he knew he could not stay silent forever. The tunnels were proof that Earth had a past written in the stars, a past that had been buried because it frightened those in power. Meanwhile, Captain Aaron Mitchell prepared the horizon for its next trial run. The ship was unlike any other in Earth's fleet. Its engines hummed with the strange rhythm, designed from patterns found in old ruins. Engineers did not fully understand the science behind it, yet the ship moved smoother and faster than anything built before. Aaron walked through the corridors, speaking with his crew. He could see the pride in their eyes. They believed they were part of something new. But Aaron knew better. They were part of something old being reborn. He often told them, "We're not learning how to fly. We are remembering." Laura Bennett received reports daily from scouts near the edge of the solar system. Alien ships had been spotted again, small vessels observing from afar. The Council claimed they were harmless, just routine missions. But Laura sensed something else. She suspected the council was watching closely, waiting for Earth to stumble. They wanted proof that humans were reckless. She felt the weight of command pressing on her shoulders. She had to keep Earth ready, even if the council dismissed her warnings. One evening, Emily Rogers decided to share her findings with Daniel Carter, the archaeologist who had uncovered the Antarctic carvings. They met in a quiet cafe far from government eyes. Daniel listened as Emily laid out her comparisons, showing how the symbols matched alien languages but were older. His hands trembled as he flipped through her notes. "This means," he whispered, "we were out there before them." "Before all of them," Emily nodded. "The council thinks we are new. But what if we are the oldest of all? What if we are the ones who taught them long ago?" Daniel looked around nervously. "If this gets out, they will silence us." "You know that, I know," Emily said softly. "But we cannot ignore it. Humanity deserves to know who we really are." Together, they planned to gather more evidence. Daniel would return to the ruins. Emily would continue her research in secret, reaching out to trusted contacts who might help without betraying them. Both understood the risk, but both felt the same calling. The truth had to be uncovered. At the same time, Nathan Brooks reached out to Laura Bennett. He had heard of her strict discipline and her refusal to underestimate alien threats. In a private meeting, he told her of the tunnels in the Sahara. He described the star maps and the silence he had been forced to keep. Laura listened carefully, her expression calm but her eyes sharp. When he finished, she said, "If what you say is true, then Earth is not preparing for the future. We are preparing for our return." Nathan nodded. "I think the council knows. That is why they erased us from their records. That is why they laugh at us. They want us to stay blind." Laura looked out the window of her office where the night sky stretched endlessly. "Then we cannot let them keep us blind. We need to be ready." While humans whispered and planned, the council continued their debates. In their great chamber, delegates spoke of Earth's progress. Some mocked it, some feared it, but none believed humans were anything more than beginners. Reports of hidden fleets were brushed aside. Warnings of growing strength were silenced. "They are too young," one delegate said, his voice filled with disdain. "They do not even understand the depth of the galaxy. They will stumble and we will be there to guide them." But far from their chamber, in secret bases across Earth, ships were being built that defied their belief. Engineers worked day and night, reverse engineering relics that had no place in human history. Plasma cannons hummed in test chambers. Shield generators flickered to life. Each breakthrough brought humanity closer to awakening the strength it once had. Emily Rogers uncovered more connections in her research. She found that some alien myths spoke of travelers who came from a blue world on the edge of the galaxy. These travelers brought knowledge and vanished suddenly, leaving civilizations to grow on their own. The aliens had turned the travelers into legends, gods, or teachers. Emily realized with growing awe that those myths described humans. Not the humans of today, but the humans of a forgotten age. Daniel Carter returned to Antarctica and dug deeper into the ruins. What he found left him speechless. Beneath the carvings lay machines frozen in ice, their surfaces smooth and metallic, untouched by time. They did not belong to any alien species he knew of. They belonged to Earth. He stood there in silence, the weight of history pressing down on him. He whispered, "We were here first." At the same time, the Horizon completed its trial run, surpassing every expectation. Aaron Mitchell stood on the bridge, watching as stars streaked past faster than any human ship had traveled before. His crew cheered, but Aaron felt something deeper. He felt as if the ship remembered, as if it carried echoes of journeys made long ago. He knew then that the Horizon was not just a warship. It was a key to the past and a promise for the future. Laura Bennett received the reports and felt a mix of pride and fear. Humanity was stronger than the Council realized, but strength brought danger. If the Council discovered the truth too soon, they would strike. She knew they had to move carefully. Yet she also knew time was running out. The galaxy believed Earth was young, but Earth's children were beginning to remember who they were. As the night deepened across ice, sand, steel, and stars, humans worked quietly. Each of them carried pieces of a puzzle that the Council had tried to erase. Slowly, those pieces were coming together. Slowly, humanity was awakening. The galaxy thought they watched a child take its first steps, but in truth, they were watching an elder rise from slumber, ready to reclaim what had been lost. Admiral Tavar of the Zaith Coalition, walked into the grand chamber of the Galactic Council with a confident stride. He stood tall, his scales glimmering under the bright lights, his eyes scanning the delegates gathered from dozens of species. His voice carried a mocking tone as he addressed the assembly. "Earth is a child playing with fire," he declared. "Their ships are clumsy, their weapons crude, and their leaders desperate. They will never threaten us. They should be guided or ignored, nothing more." Laughter rippled through the chamber as other delegates nodded and agreed. To them, Earth was nothing but a reckless newcomer. But beyond the Council's walls, in hidden places across Earth, secrets were awakening. The United Earth Assembly had quietly authorized Operation Legacy. Laura Bennett received the order in her secure office, her eyes narrowing as she read the details. Underground hangars that had been sealed for centuries were to be opened. Submerged facilities deep under oceans were to be activated. Humanity was about to reveal a part of itself the galaxy had forgotten. She felt the weight of history pressing on her shoulders as she whispered, "It begins." In Antarctica, Daniel Carter pushed deeper into the ruins. His team uncovered a staircase leading down into a frozen cavern. What they found made them freeze in awe. Giant machines rested there encased in ice, their surfaces marked with the same strange symbols Emily Rogers had been studying. These were not alien machines, they were human. The design was clear, though advanced far beyond modern Earth technology. Daniel touched the cold metal, his voice trembling. "We were here before. Long before." His words carried through the cavern, echoing the truth that none of them wanted to say out loud. At the Institute, Emily Rogers pieced together more translations. The carvings told stories of journeys across stars, of wars fought and alliances made. They spoke of a people who walked among the galaxies as teachers and warriors. The Council had erased these records, but the ruins still held them. Emily felt her chest tighten with a mix of pride and fear. "We are not young," she whispered to herself. "We are returning." She wanted to share her work with the world, but she knew the danger. If the Council discovered what she had found, they would do everything to bury it again. Nathan Brooks met again with Laura Bennett in a secure base. He showed her sketches of the tunnels he had once walked in the Sahara, pointing out the star charts that predated even the oldest known galactic records. Laura studied them carefully, her mind racing. "They erased us," she said quietly. "They didn't want us remembered. They wanted us to be forgotten." Nathan nodded, his face hard, and they nearly succeeded. But the truth is coming back. In the vast hangar beneath the Pacific Ocean, Captain Aaron Mitchell stood with his crew as ancient ships were revealed from their slumber. The waters drained away, exposing vessels whose sleek designs glistened with strange alloys. Engineers rushed to study them, amazed at their resilience after so many centuries. Aaron placed his hand on the hull of one ship, feeling a hum beneath his palm as if the vessel itself recognized him. He turned to his officers and said, "These ships are not just machines. They are memories, and they are waking with us." When the alien envoys arrived on Earth to mock the humans once more, Laura Bennett allowed them a glimpse of what had been hidden. The envoys sneered at the horizon and other new ships, but when they saw the ancient vessels rising from hidden bases, their expressions changed. One envoy whispered in disbelief, "These markings, they are older than our own records." Another shook his head. "Impossible. They should not exist." Yet the proof stood before them, undeniable and terrifying. News of the reveal spread quickly through the Council. Whispers filled the chambers, no longer mocking but uneasy. Delegates demanded answers, but none came. For centuries, the galaxy had believed Earth was a young world. Now they saw ships that defied that belief. Some tried to claim the vessels were stolen designs. Others accused humans of trickery. But the truth gnawed at them. Perhaps humanity was not new at all. Perhaps humanity was something they had all tried to forget. Emily Rogers uncovered records that explained the silence. Long ago, humans had been present in the galaxy. They had fought wars, built alliances, and shaped events. But something had happened. The records did not say what, only that humanity had vanished suddenly. The Council had erased their name, erased their legacy, and taught the galaxy that Earth was young. Emily realized now why the ruins had been hidden and why Nathan's discoveries had been silenced. The Council feared humanity's return. Daniel Carter continued to explore the ruins, uncovering weapons frozen in the ice. They were unlike anything modern Earth possessed, but his team began to understand their function. Plasma weapons with energy cores that still glowed faintly after centuries, shields that could bend light and energy alike. He knew that once these weapons were restored, Earth would hold power no one expected. His voice shook as he told his team, "This changes everything. The galaxy thinks we are behind them, but we are standing in the shadow of our own past, and it is greater than theirs." In space, the Horizon and its escorts trained tirelessly. Aaron Mitchell drilled his crew, knowing that the Council would not stay silent for long. He reminded them daily, "We are not just protecting Earth, we are reclaiming our place." His crew responded with fierce loyalty, their spirits lifted by the knowledge that they were part of something far larger than themselves. They felt the truth in their bones. They were not learning. They were remembering. The Council, uneasy and divided, began to argue behind closed doors. Some wanted to confront Earth directly. Others feared that attacking might awaken even more hidden power. Admiral Tivar, still arrogant, pushed for action. "We must strike now," he growled, "before they rise further." But whispers in the chamber reminded him of the ships already revealed, of the ruins that told stories older than their empires. Fear crept into their voices even as they tried to mask it with scorn. Back on Earth, Laura Bennett coordinated with Emily, Daniel, Nathan, and Aaron. Each of them held a piece of the puzzle, and together they began to see the full picture. Humanity had been here before. Humanity had been erased, and now humanity was returning. Laura stood before her officers, her voice steady and strong. "They thought we were children. They thought we were young. But we are the elders. We will not be mocked again." The alien envoys left Earth in silence, their reports filled with unease. As their ships vanished into the stars, Laura knew the Council would come to a decision soon. War was on the horizon, not because Earth sought it, but because the Council feared what Earth truly was. The galaxy had tried to bury humanity, but the truth could not stay hidden forever. Across the world, in ice, sand, and steel, the pieces of humanity's past awakened. Engines roared to life after centuries of silence. Weapons glowed again. Records long buried whispered their truths to those willing to listen. And as the stars watched silently, humanity prepared to rise. Not as children stumbling into the galaxy, but as the true elders returning to reclaim their place. The alien fleets gathered at the edge of the solar system, their numbers filling the void with steel and light. Admiral Tivar commanded the coalition armada with confidence, convinced that Earth would fall within hours. His voice carried across the channels, mocking and certain. "Let them see the strength of true civilizations. Their fragile defenses will break like glass." The fleets advanced, their ships glowing as weapons came online. To the galaxy, this was not a war but a lesson. The Council expected Earth to be crushed quickly, proof that humans had no place among the stars. On Earth, Laura Bennett stood in the command center, her eyes fixed on the screens that showed the approaching fleets. The room buzzed with activity as officers prepared defenses. She spoke calmly, her voice steady. "All units, hold positions. Wait for my command." Around her, men and women nodded, their faces pale but determined. They had trained for this moment, though none of them knew if training would be enough. Laura felt the weight of their lives pressing on her. But beneath the fear was a fire. She knew what the Council did not. Humanity was not helpless. Far above, Captain Aaron Mitchell stood on the bridge of the horizon. The ship hummed with quiet power, its ancient-inspired engines ready for battle. His crew sat at their stations waiting for his word. He looked at them, seeing not fear but pride. "Today," he said, "the galaxy will see us for who we are. We are not children. We are not young. We are the ones they forgot. And we will remind them." The crew erupted with cheers, their voices filling the bridge with courage. In Antarctica, Daniel Carter remained with his team near the ruins. They had uncovered more machines, and though they could not move them all, some had already been activated. Energy pulsed through the ice, humming with forgotten power. Daniel watched as one of the machines lit up, casting blue light across the cavern. He whispered, "They thought we were new, but we were here before them." His team looked at him in awe, realizing that their work was no longer just science. It was survival. Emily Rogers sent her final transmission to Laura before the battle began. She had decoded more of the carvings, discovering that humans had fought the Council's ancestors long ago. The carvings spoke of wars that had scarred galaxies, wars where humans had stood as equals or more. "They fear us," Emily said in her message. That is why they erased us. But they cannot erase us again. Laura read the message and felt a shiver run through her. She knew Emily was right. The first shots came from the alien fleet. Plasma fire cutting through the dark and striking Earth's orbital shields. The sky above Earth glowed as energy flared against the barriers. For a moment, fear filled the human command center. Then Laura gave the order. Return fire. The horizon and the awakened ships from ancient hangars roared to life. Plasma cannons older than the Council's records lit up the void, striking the Coalition fleet with brutal force. Alien shields collapsed, their ships torn apart in explosions that echoed across space. Admiral Tivar snarled in disbelief, his voice rising. Impossible! How can they wield such weapons? But the truth was before him. Humanity's weapons were not new. They were ancient, restored, and deadly. Aaron Mitchell led the charge, the horizon diving into enemy formations with precision. His crew moved like one, their actions flawless. The alien ships tried to surround them, but the horizon's shields bent the attacks aside. Aaron's voice rang out, "Hold steady. Strike hard." Beams of light tore through enemy cruisers, sending debris spinning into the void. On Earth, Laura coordinated every move, her voice calm as she directed fleets and defenses. Her commands carried confidence, guiding humans with precision learned not in years but in echoes of forgotten wars. Every strike, every maneuver felt familiar, as if humanity was not inventing but remembering how to fight. Officers looked at her with awe, realizing she carried more than training. She carried memory. In the Antarctic ruins, Daniel and his team activated one of the ancient defense systems. Beams of energy shot into the sky, striking alien ships that dared approach Earth's atmosphere. The machines responded as though they had been waiting for this moment, their power unbroken by time. Daniel stood in the glowing cavern, his heart racing. "We are waking up," he said softly. Emily Rogers, in her small office, broadcast her translations across human networks. She told the people of Earth the truth, that their ancestors had once walked among the stars, that they had been erased, and that today they were returning. Her words spread quickly, filling people with pride and unity. Civilians watched the battle unfold, no longer seeing themselves as weak but as part of something vast and powerful. The fear that once held them was replaced by strength. Admiral Tivar's flagship came under fire from multiple human vessels. He shouted orders, but his fleet was breaking. Ships crumbled under the assault of weapons they had no defense against. He realized with horror that the Council had been wrong. Earth was not a child. Earth was a force returning from the shadows. His last words before his ship exploded were filled with disbelief. "They are the elders." The battle raged for hours, but the outcome was clear. Humanity stood strong, their fleets moving with purpose, their weapons cutting through enemies once thought invincible. Alien commanders watched in silence as their forces fell, their pride shattered. The Council chambers far away grew quiet as reports came in. What they had dismissed as a lesson became a nightmare. The humans were not stumbling. They were conquering. When the final alien ships fled, silence filled the void. The horizon and the ancient fleet hovered in space, victorious. Aaron Mitchell stood on the bridge, his chest heavy with the weight of what had happened. He looked at his crew, at the screens filled with the wreckage of enemies, and said quietly, "This is only the beginning." On Earth, Laura Bennett lowered her headset, her body trembling with exhaustion. She looked around the command center, seeing her officers smiling through tears. They had done it. They had defended Earth. But Laura knew this was not the end. The Council would not forgive them for this victory. She whispered to herself, "We have shown them who we are. Now they will come for us." Emily Rogers continued to translate the ancient texts, knowing more truths would surface. Daniel Carter studied the machines, determined to unlock their full power. Nathan Brooks reached out to old allies, preparing for the battles to come. And Aaron Mitchell readied the horizon for its next mission. Humanity was no longer hiding. Humanity was awake. The galaxy had watched the battle in horror and awe. They had seen the so-called young race rise and shatter fleets older than empires. They had seen the truth written in fire and steel, and as silence spread across the stars, one truth echoed everywhere. Earth was not new. Earth was the oldest ghost returned to reclaim its place. The battle was over, but the silence that followed felt heavier than the fire of war. Across the solar system, wreckage of alien ships drifted like broken bones, glowing faintly under the light of the sun. Humanity had won, but it was not victory alone, it was revelation. The galaxy had seen what Earth truly was. No longer could the Council dismiss them as children. No longer could they call them young. Humanity had returned, and the stars would never be the same. Laura Bennett stood in the command center, exhausted but unshaken. Officers cheered, hugging one another, some crying openly, but Laura remained calm. She looked at the map of the solar system on the main screen, the faint signatures of fleeing alien ships disappearing into the void. She knew this was only the beginning. She spoke quietly, but her words carried across the room. We have reminded them of who we are. But they will not forget again. We must be ready. Her officers nodded, their smiles fading into determination. They understood. This was not the end of a battle, but the start of something far greater. Captain Aaron Mitchell stood on the bridge of the horizon. The ship was scarred but still strong, its crew alive and proud. He walked among them, placing his hand on shoulders, thanking them for their courage. Yet he too knew the truth. This victory would echo across the galaxy, and with it would come fear, anger, and retaliation. He looked out at the stars, whispering to himself, "They thought we were gone. Now they will have to face us." In Antarctica, Daniel Carter continued his work. The ruins hummed with power, awakened by the events above. His team uncovered more machines buried deep in the ice, each one a piece of history returning to life. Daniel studied the carvings on the walls, reading the stories that Emily Rogers had helped translate. They spoke of colonies beyond Earth, of human settlements on distant moons and planets that had been abandoned when humanity fell into silence. His hand shook as he traced the lines. "We left pieces of ourselves across the stars," he whispered. "And now it is time to find them again." Emily Rogers sat at her desk, her translation spread out before her. She broadcast messages to every human channel she could, sharing the truth with the people of Earth. She told them that they were not children of the galaxy but elders, once powerful and wise. Her words ignited something within the hearts of billions. Civilians no longer looked at themselves as weak or new. They felt pride in their blood, pride in the knowledge that their ancestors had walked the stars long before others. People gathered in the streets not in fear but in unity. Humanity had remembered itself. Nathan Brooks moved quietly through secure bases, speaking with commanders and leaders. He urged them to prepare for what was coming. "The Council will not stop," he warned. "They fear us because they remember. They erased us once and they will try again. But this time, we cannot let them succeed." His words spread among the officers, filling them with a fire that matched his own. They knew the truth now, and there was no turning back. In the council chambers far away, silence filled the air. Delegates stared at the reports of the battle, their faces pale. Admiral Tavar was gone, his fleet destroyed. The images of human ships wielding weapons older than their empires filled them with dread. Some whispered of legends of a people who had once ruled and then vanished. Others argued that humanity must be destroyed before they grew stronger. But deep down, all of them felt the same fear. The galaxy had woken a power it could not control. On Earth, Laura Bennett addressed the United Earth Assembly. Her voice was calm, but her words carried weight. "We are not what they thought. We are not new. We are not weak. Our ancestors once walked the stars, and now we rise again. The Council will come for us, but we will not bow. We are the true elders of this galaxy, and it is time we remembered our place." Her speech was broadcast across the planet, her words echoing into every home. People listened in silence, their hearts swelling with pride and determination. Aaron Mitchell led the Horizon on missions beyond the solar system. They discovered fragments of abandoned colonies, stations long forgotten but still intact. The ruins told the same story as the carvings in Antarctica. Humanity had once spread across the galaxy, only to vanish suddenly. Aaron stood among the silent halls of a moon base, dust covering the floors, and felt the weight of history pressing down. "We are not discovering," he said softly to his crew. "We are returning." Daniel Carter uncovered a chamber deep beneath the Antarctic ice filled with stasis pods. Most were empty, but some still contained figures. His team worked carefully, terrified of what they might awaken. When one pod opened, revealing a human figure dressed in clothing unlike any known to modern Earth, Daniel realized the truth. These were not myths. These were their ancestors, preserved through time. Humanity's past was not gone. It was waiting to be found. Emily Rogers pieced together the final translations, realizing that humanity had once fought the ancestors of the Council's species. The record spoke of alliances broken and wars that reshaped the galaxy. In the end, humanity had chosen to withdraw, leaving the galaxy to others while they hid themselves on Earth. But now, with their memory restored, they were ready to return. She shared this knowledge with Laura and Aaron, both of whom understood the meaning. The Council feared humanity not because of what they might become, but because of what they had already been. The galaxy trembled with the news. Whispers spread across worlds. Some feared humanity, others admired them. Smaller civilizations sent secret messages to Earth, offering friendship, hoping to align with the rising power. For the first time in centuries, the Council felt their authority slipping. They had tried to erase the truth, but the truth had returned with fire and steel. Laura Bennett stood once more on the observation deck, staring at the stars. She thought of Emily, Daniel, Nathan, and Aaron, of the roles they played in awakening the truth. She thought of the billions of humans who now looked to the sky with new eyes. She felt the weight of responsibility pressing on her, but she also felt pride. Humanity had risen and nothing could push them back into silence again. She whispered to herself, "They thought Earth was young, but we are the shadows of their beginnings. We are the ones they tried to forget. We are the elders." Her words echoed in the quiet room, carried by the hum of machines and the light of distant stars. The galaxy watched, silent and uncertain, some prepared for war, others for peace, but all of them knew the truth. Humanity had returned, not as children stumbling into the stars, but as the true elders of the galaxy, and nothing could stop them from reclaiming their destiny.